Welcome back to Mozzy Sails. Brief interlude in the sailing today. So I'm going to go through a bit of jargon busting. One of my favourite things to do is to watch the stern can footage, but there's quite a lot of lingo used by the sailors. So hopefully this video will help you decode what's being said aboard the AC-75s and allow you to watch that same stern can footage and have a bit of a better idea of what's going on and what the sailors are talking about. So let's get into it. First of all, JK. This is the one that gets questioned the most. It's John Kostecki, not Jamiroquai. It's John Kostecki, Oracle, famous sailor with Oracle, and it is a manoeuvre on the racecourse where you round a leeward mark with two boards and immediately go into attack, kind of doubling back on yourself like a 180 turn. Quite a difficult manoeuvre, first done by the Cats in San Fran. So that's what they mean when they call for a JK, a roundup, and straight into attack with two boards down. Chicago, again, this is another term which has come from previous cups. I think from the America's Cup World Series when it's held in Chicago, and it is attack, bear away, maneuver. So yeah, that's what it is. I presume it's called Chicago after the World Series when they host it there. Someone did a maneuver and they just called it the Chicago from then on. Quite a neat maneuver, but again, like the JK, it's a 180 turn, so quite difficult to pull off. Next up, hear this from Rossa quite a bit, and that is the G spot. Quite hard to work out where the G spot is, actually, but I think, and I'm not an expert, but I think kind of like that ley line into the leeward marks where you've still got the option to split and go either way. So that's quite a powerful ley line to come into, and the G spot I think is the kind of intersection where you can go to either mark. So, but yeah, you'd have to ask Jimmy where the G spot is. He's always asking. Yeah, can't find it apparently. The hook. Okay, this is a thing that's been talked about. I think America's Cup have done a video on this, which is quite good as well. But the hook is like a kind of a textbook match racing maneuver where you're the windward boat sat up here, and you do a big bear away to go from the windward boat being the kind of give way boat, keep clear boat, to bearing away and going round and getting down below to being the leeward boat and having right of way. So you can see the maneuver they do is like a hook shape, and the idea is to get into that leeward position so you've got luffing rights. The hook though never worked once in this whole cup. So why doesn't it work? Well, first of all, the boats never get slow enough. A hook needs the boat that sat there to be going quite slow and have to be struggle to accelerate. Now these boats never really get down speed off the foils, and if they are off the foils then there's no point hooking them, you might as well just sail past. So it kind of revolves around a slow, heavy boat being down speed. And if you can carry speed in, lots of speed in, carry momentum, you can carry that momentum through, underneath, and get a hook and get into the right of way position. However, in this cup, the boats are never down speed. They're always on the foils in the pre-start. So you don't actually carry that much momentum when you go for the hook. And in fact, anything, you do kind of sail through their dirty air. So the hook never works. That's enough of that. But that's what a hook is. A push is like the hook. It's a threat of going for a hook. So if you've got a boat ahead of you going up towards the start, and you can push them, if you bear off behind, they'll think you're going to go and try and hook them, so they'll bear off as well, and they'll accelerate and be pushed towards the line. So the aim is just to bear off a little bit as if you're going to go for a hook. They'll accelerate and they'll be pushed to the line. They'll get to the line too early, and that's a push. A luff. So a luff is when you're the leeward boat and you head up, and they have to keep clear, and they're luffed and they have to head up as well. So that's a luff. Lee bow. So a lee bow is when you get in a position. So a boat going upwind, wind coming down the screen. This is the windward side of the boat. This is the leeward side of the boat. This is the bow. The lee bow is there. And if you tack onto the lee bow, then you can give them dirty air, your wind weight coming off your sails, and not just the wake and the dirty air, but actually the pressure upstream of your sail will affect them as well. The other thing you hear quite a lot when you're watching the stern cam is someone will be saying same, higher, slower, lower, faster. These are gauging terms and they're often called out to the helm on the windward side. They can't see through to the boat to leeward, so I'll have someone on the leeward who's calling this out. A couple of clips like of Luna Rossa coming off the line with Ineos. Jimmy Spittle on the starboard side can't really see Ineos, so Bruni's on the leeward side and he's going same, higher, slower, and they're always talking about the other boat relative to them. So the other boat is higher and the other boat is but slower. So it's just a gauging term, but same is all equal, holding level. Intersection. So this is something that came up on the Ineos boat quite a lot, intersection, and I think it's the point at which if they tack before the intersection, then they'll have to do one more tack up the beat, or down the run, if they jibe before the intersection, then it means they'll have to do one more jibe down the run. So with these narrow courses, you're kind of bouncing off the course boundaries, and there's kind of like a minimum number of tacks you can complete that in, just from a geometric perspective. And if you don't get to the point on the course, so if you don't sail for sufficiently long enough on a tack, then it means if you tack before that, you'll just have to do more tacks in total. But if you go beyond that point, then it doesn't really matter how far you go, because it will just mean you have less time to sail on the ley line on the final leg. So that's the intersection, and I think that's what Ineos quite nicely had on their race software, as they could predict where these intersections were, where these points were. Whereas if they tack before it, they'd have to do one more tack on the leg complete. Pressing. Pressing is like the alternative term to squeeze. So pressing is when you bear off just a little bit. I wouldn't say it's as big as a complete mode change, but it's just bearing off a little bit to press down and get a bit more wind in the sails, get a bit more power and speed up. It's often used as a build as well. You'll hear them use the word build or press interchangeably. Sometimes it's often used when you're in that windward boat and you want to press down, close the gauge on the leeward boat. But yeah, pressing is like a very, very slight kind of bear off, just to build a little bit of speed. And the opposite of that is squeeze, to squeeze up. So you can either press down, bear off, or you can squeeze up high. So they're the two terms you'll hear on the boats. You then hear high mode and low mode, and this is kind of like a more kind of permanent shift away from the VMG angle. A press or a squeeze is just kind of like a momentary just move a little one way or the other, whereas a high mode is kind of like click it into a different mode and sail high and slow or low and fast. Now, critically, high mode and low mode are never better VMG. VMG is VMG, and they'll often refer to that as target. High mode and low mode is also always worse than VMG. So why would they even use it? Well, it's for strategical reasons. If you've got a boat behind, you want to pinch them out, then you'd sail a high mode. If you've got a boat below you, you want to kind of press over the top of them, then you use a low mode. Also, sometimes with shifts, it can help a little bit to get you into phase with shifts or gap off and create a bit of leverage on a boat. Ley line, hear this a lot. So ley line is a imaginary line on the course, which if you get to and you tack or jibe on that line, then you can sail to the next mark without any more maneuvers on your VMG heading. Simple. If you go past the ley line, then you've sailed further than you need to. If you come up short on a ley line or under ley, then you have to sail either a slower mode, either high or low, or you have to do an extra maneuver. Phase. So phase is all about the shifts. They'll say whether the wind is in left phase or right phase. That means whether it's to the right of normal or to the left of normal. If the wind's in left phase, then that generally means upwind port tack is favoured, downwind starboard tack is favoured, and vice versa. They'll also say in phase, and that's the wind shifts come down the course and they tend to come down in a pattern, and it means whether you're on the right tack for that pattern and for that shift. Pressure. So pressure is something you hear a lot. They say good pressure. What they just mean there is kind of wind speed, really. I guess they could say good wind, but then good wind might be a bit ambiguous to whether that's like more wind or whether that's a favourable wind direction, like a good phase or good shift. So pressure is more specifically about wind speed. If they say good pressure, they mean good wind speed. Right, and the other interesting thing is on the Italian boats, they then have this whole of a separate codes, which is quite interesting. And I didn't know this, but actually, not only are people from Italy and the country Italy named after a type of food, but they also have this code which is named after a type of restaurant as well. So yeah, there's a few phrases on their boat. They use this hyper special code, and we'll just have a look at that because it's quite interesting what these guys are saying in that code. And even as a sailor, I didn't know any of this this Italian code. I've actually found this thing on the internet where you can decode any kind of linguistics. It's if you go to Google and type in translate, then yeah, it will decode it for you. So a few of the phrases I've heard quite a few times on the boat. So they've got this K cazzo or che cazzo, K cazzo. So just type that in. Okay, we'll leave that one. Another term they've used quite a lot, another bit of code is fanculo. So just fanculo. Fanculo. Yeah, I think that sounds quite nice. So what does that? Okay, I think we're just going to leave Luna Rossa and their code out of it for now because it seems to be mostly nasty. Anyway, hope you found this video useful for decoding what's said on the boats. And yeah, thanks for watching. Looking forward to more racing. Take care.